What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Good evening to you tonight. It's a special night. It's the week before Christmas. So, hey, Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope Harley Santa brings you everything you want. If not, blame Tweedle. Blame Tweedle24. But we do have Jim right now. Brian's running a little bit late, but that's okay. It happens. But we do have Jim in the green room, and we will bring him in. And we're going to find out about Jim, and then we'll find out about Brian when he comes in. And then we'll talk about the Ride Life, the podcast, how that got started. Give everybody a layout on how tonight's going to go and the format. So without any further ado, let's bring in Jim. Let's talk to Jim and find out everything we need to know about Jim. Jim, hello, good evening, and, early Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year's. Thanks for having me on, bud. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, right on, man. I'm a big fan of your podcast that you and Brian put on. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it.
We try to have fun with it. We struggle sometimes to come up with everything that we want to talk about every week, but we talk so much throughout the week about all the different things that we're doing, and I'm like, well, we should really just be writing this down and saving it for Sunday, because we record every Sunday night. But I know we're both big fans of yours too, going on and watching all the videos and stuff like that.
Thanks for the shout outs and a lot of your podcasts. I really appreciate that. That means so much to me because I'm just a guy in a garage with the camera. Having fun,
For sure.
And I'll be honest with you, if I make a few bucks, I make a few bucks, and I make a few bucks, but at the end of the year, I don't think I've broken even yet.
Well, I heard you was a few weeks ago. I mean, you guys were talking about all the camera gear and stuff like that. I mean, that would blow our budget right out of the water.
Oh my God. Let's see, I've bought in 1, 2, 3, 4 cameras that I no longer use. I'm on my 5th camera and I haven't, and February will start my 3rd year. So
that's a couple of cameras. I have a nice camera. I bought it about 10 years ago. It does what I needed to do, but I'm not doing videos. I mean, I can take videos with it, but that's not really what it's for. I do a lot of portrait stuff with it and that. So,
yeah. So let's get into it. The Ride Life podcast. Apparently, you ride.
Yep.
How long have you been riding?
I've probably been riding since I was about 12, 13 years old. Dirt bikes, four wheelers. I didn't buy my first street bike till I was 22, 23. I bought a crotch rocket. That was my first. It really wasn't. It was a Triumph Daytona. One of the 675s.
I think we all start off on crotch rockets, or most of us do. I know I did.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fun bike. It was really light. It was underpowered compared to like the other 600 cc's that were out there, like the Hondas and the Yamahas and that. But it really handled really well, and it was like I never felt like it was going to get away from me. Before that, the only experience I had riding on the road was taking the dirt bikes from the trails and riding up the street and coming down. So I wanted something fairly lightweight, and I was still young and loved the crotch rockets back then.
Yeah, exactly. I started off on a KZ400, very basic motorcycle. Didn't ride well. It had very little power, but when you're 16 years old and you don't have a whole lot of money, it was perfect for me. I rode the wheels off that thing, literally.
Those are the KZs were some pretty good bikes. I mean, what did they make? 1100? That was an 11 or 1,000? I'm thinking of that they had.
They had 1,000. The KZ 1000.
Yeah, that was a really popular bike for a long time.
Yeah, that was a great bike for the drag strip. That's what a lot of people would buy on for, is the drag strip.
So that's not one thing. That's one thing I never really did. I never went for the drag strip. Never on a bike. Never in a car. I never had anything that I really wanted to drag.
Yeah, I had a '69 Chevelle I took to the drag strip. I made one pass on it, and out of pure luck in Englishtown, New Jersey, at a 500 tree, I cut a 505 light. Pure luck. first time cutting a light. I cut a 505 light, damn perfect. And I made my pass down, and the NHRA came up to me and says, okay, you can't run anymore until you put real floors and a roll cage in this thing. Because it was a sub 10-second car.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, nowadays that car is probably worth like 50K the way those cars are going now.
Yeah. Well, I had street signs for floors, just pop riveted in. It was a factory 454 car. I had a 4-speed Muncie in it, 383 rears, tubbed out. I built the motor in shop. So, I mean, it was on the engine dyno, it made 900 horse all motor. Ooh. And that's good. And a 16-year-old kid is driving that.
Brian says he's trying to get in.
Hey, well, I don't see him in the back, in the green room.
He's saying he's having trouble getting in.
Okay. Do I need to resend him the link?
Possibly.
Yep. So rolling throttle. We're going to get to that a little bit in the show. So if you just hang on, Hey, Rhodey's here. Hello, Rhodey. So did you ever have any of those 3-wheelers from, remember the off-road 3-wheelers?
I never had them. So my parents always thought I'd be the kid that was going to kill himself. So I never had any of that stuff. I grew up with I think it was a 75 or a 77 Honda XL75 in my garage. It used to be my brother's, who's 11 years older than me. And they were like dead set against me touching it. Finally, when I was about 14 or 15, I got it running and took it out. But at that point, I had already ridden like some better bikes. Brian had some cool bikes. He had an RM 125 and then a CR 125 that I was able to ride with him a lot. And so I rode one of those 3-wheelers at somebody's house when I was 12, 13 or whatever, but it was one of the smaller ones.
Yeah, right on. So you live, correct me if I'm wrong, you're up north, right? Up in like New Hampshire?
Brian's in New Hampshire. I'm in Rhode Island.
You're in Rhode Island. Oh, so you're Rhodey's neighbor.
I bet you we talked about it one day. We're probably like 2.5 miles apart, and it probably takes 15 minutes to get to our house because where we live, it's all traffic lights. But I bet you we're 2.5 miles apart. Yeah.
Well, Providence is an hour from Providence.
Pretty much. Yeah. We're on that 95 side. So it's all real dense right there.
Yep. I go up through Rhode Island on my way out to Cape Cod.
Okay.
Cape Cod Harley, one of the channel sponsors, which is awesome. But next time I go up there, I'll let you know. Maybe we can hook up and hang out or something.
Yeah, and if you don't, I'll be out your way anyways. I'm sure I go out and down your way a lot.
Yeah, I'm in southern Connecticut by New Haven. Well,
yep.
Southeastern Connecticut. So you're in Rhode Island. You ride as much as Rhodey, because he rides basically year round. So do I. I was just out on the bike yesterday.
Yeah, I'm kind of a puss. I don't like the cold weather. I'll be honest with you. A big part of riding for me is I love like the smell of the fresh cut grass, the warm wind, the hot sun on you. I'll ride. Like if it's in the 50s, I'll bundle up and ride. But I'm not hardcore like Rhodey. I'm not going out in heated gear when it's 30. Although he did say if he ever gets a heated gear sponsor, he was going to hook me up. So if he does that, I have no choice. I got to go out.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a heated gear sponsor myself.
I try to ride as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens.
I try to ride as much as I can. If I can get out after work, if I can get out every weekend, Saturdays, it works out for me. The wife's working. So Saturdays, I pretty much, when I wake up and decide to move, I just go ride for the day. And a lot of times I like to just go get lost. I head down all through Rhode Island, out through eastern Connecticut, where a lot of the farmland and scenic area is out there, and I stay out of Mass because I lived there so darn long. But I mean, I do go up there for sure.
Heated gear makes a good Christmas gift, Jack says.
Jack, are you sending it? I'll give you my address if you're sending it. I'm an XL.
Yeah, right. No kidding. Me too. We're both XLs, Jack. So you got my address. So
just think of it as payback for all the entertainment we send them.
Yeah. So is that you or is that Brian?
That's Brian.
Okay. I was wondering if Brian needs me to resend him the link.
Yeah, you may want to. I sent him the link too. Does it have to be a unique link for each guest?
No, not at all. I'm going to drop it right into Instagram. I think that's your Instagram, right? That I sent it to?
Yeah, send it to, can you send it to the Ride Like Brian?
Let's see. I got the Ride Life podcast, and let's see. Right.
If not, I can forward it to him. I still have it.
Well, I'll just add it right into the same one I sent the last one in.
Right.
Because it's the same link.
All right. I'm sending it off to him.
Yep. So I hate that air. So I'm going to keep talking. So you're in Rhode Island. Some of your favorite rides to do out in Rhode Island?
My two favorite rides are, I think it's 116 kind of runs through the center of the state, and it gets once you get out of the immediate area, 116 runs kind of through the middle of the state, takes you down through some of the reservoirs, and when you ride through that, you hook up to, I think it's 3 or 33, and that'll take you down to pretty much almost right down to Westerly. That's probably my top favorite ride. I'll use that. Like,
you stay away from Suicide 6.
Yeah, I cross over it. I mean, I've ridden it. I cross over it. If I got to go to Connecticut, a lot of times I'll take 116 and then head west on 6, because there's parts of 6 where you can really rip it up pretty good till you get out to like what is it, Killingsley?
Yes,
that runs into.
I used to come across 6 all the time from pick it up out in the Torrington area and then head out to Rhode Island. It's kind of the roundabout way for me to go, but I went with the club at the time because we had a clubhouse out in Rhode Island.
Okay.
Don't ask me what town, I forgot.
The other one is 102, which I almost always take to bring home. Almost anywhere you go in Rhode Island, I hit 102 to come back, and I like to take 44 out to Connecticut a lot.
So, what's your dream ride? If time and money wasn't a factor, what would be your big dream ride?
Oh God, if time and money wasn't a factor and I could just get on the bike and go, my dream ride, boy, there's a lot of things. All right, so I'll limit it to, I really want to go down to, there he is, go down to the, oh my God, Brian, what's the road we wanted to go on? I'm drawing a blank.
Route 100?
The mountains. No, down the
Bear
mountains.
Notch Road. Bear Notch Road.
No. Down in Tennessee, North Carolina. It almost ends up at the tail of the dragon.
Oh, Blue Parkway.
Yeah, Blue Ridge Parkway.
Blue Ridge Parkway.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to do some great riding this year, you got to come out to Mom of the Mountains 2025 out in West Virginia. Some of the most amazing roads I was on this past year in West Virginia. And it's basically, it's a biker camp out where, you ride all day, you come back, you camp out, you have fun, you break stones, you drink, you eat, and go to bed, wake up, do it all, that same thing next day. It's awesome.
Doesn't sound like any fun.
So, Brian, thanks for coming in. I appreciate you.
Hey.
Give us a quick intro about you. How long have you been riding, and what was your first motorcycle? Get you caught up in the conversation.
Yeah. So there was a little problem. On the iPad to the iPhone, I had to log in to the iPad. Blah blah blah. All right. So first
Well,
motorcycle.
before you go any further, I'm just going to let you know, Windows, it just works.
Yeah. Well, I only have an iPad. I don't have a computer. I'm not savvy. So.
Oh.
But first bike, 1979 MX 100. It was a two-stroke dirt bike that I think my dad got for $200, and I rode that bike after school every single day. Do you remember that bike, Jim?
Was it white with it still had the metal tank?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it. I don't remember it that well. I remember your Suzuki more.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a bunch of dirt bikes growing up. I just loved dirt bikes, and dirt bikes all the way till 21 years old, and then I think I finally bought my first Harley when I was 21, 22. It was a 2003 Night Train, so that was my first street bike ever.
Yep, right on. Now, I take it you guys have been basically lifelong friends that you basically call each other brother because, you pick your family, you don't pick your relatives.
Pretty much.
I think since we were like 6 or 7 years old.
So about 20 years you guys been friends.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Yeah, 20 sounds good.
So, Brian, if you had a dream ride, money and time was an object, what would that be? Jump on the bike, go.
So I jump on a Honda Goldwing, and I just saw this route. It's the longest route you could take through the United States where you hit every single state. They say it takes like 134 hours or something. But you start up in Maine, and you go down, you kind of zigzag, and you hit every single state, all 48 states, all the lower states. So that'd be a good ride.
Right on. That'd be my dream ride, which I'm going to do is when I retire, is I'm going to ride mile zero from Route 66 all the way to Santa Monica, California.
Oh, nice.
And my time frame will be Hawaiian time, which means when I get there, I get there.
I like it. I rode Route 66 out towards Arizona when I went to Arizona Bike Week last year.
Mm-hmm.
We did Route 66 a bunch, and that road's so cool, long, and just the scenery out there is crazy. New Mexico, Arizona, it's unheard of.
I can't wait. I'm looking at maybe 5.5, 6 years. I'll be headed out.
There you go. It's worth it.
Yep.
So there's a ride that starts in Boston and it goes all the way up to Oregon. It's Route 20. It's the longest, I believe it's the longest continuous highway in the United States. It goes from Boston all the way across the country to it's Oregon.
Yeah,
I'd like to do that too. Seattle, yeah.
Right on.
I don't remember how many miles. It's close to 4,000 miles.
So once you guys, you ride together, you've known each other, all these years, you're hanging out. What inspired the Ride Life podcast?
Well, so we would always be talking about motorcycles, just hanging out in my garage, talking about where we want to ride, what trails, like this is back in dirt bike days, what trails we want to ride. And then we got motorcycles, street bikes together. And we just always have this conversation about riding bikes, where to go, what to put on them, how to fix them. And then, probably 3 or 4 months ago now, I just said, let's just start a podcast. Let's just record us talking and see what happens about it. Maybe we can meet some new friends and go for some rides together with new friends instead of looking at you. I'm sick of looking at you, Jim, but
Me too.
So we were sick of looking at each other.
Yeah, right on.
So we started it back in May, and that's what we were talking about. So we were talking about stuff like, we'd be like, hey, did you check out this? Did you listen to that? Did you listen to that? So I'm like, we should do that. What the hell? We should just try it and like, let's just have fun and we'll record it. And if nobody listens, so what? Like, it's the internet. Who really cares? And
somebody will listen. I listen.
We got a few people.
Yep.
Yeah, Jack listens.
And when you post them, when you post up on all the podcasts, which is Apple TV, Spotify. I know I'm missing a few because I listen to you guys on Spotify, and also you post the videos up on Brian's YouTube channel, which is the Ride Life Podcast, and that's all pre-recorded and it's never done live like this.
Yep, no, it's never live. We just do it. Well, we record every Sunday night. That's our plan. So then
right
everything comes out on Tuesday morning. So it's pretty relevant.
Yep.
Yeah, so we did like
I heard. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so we kind of like we dipped our toe in the water. We actually recorded on a couple of different formats for just the podcast, no video first, before we settled on where we are now. And it took us a while to kind of get the sound quality down and where I wanted it. But once I kind of figured out how to hook up the settings, I got it pretty easy now. So like I come back Monday nights and I can edit it up pretty quick. And we said, well, we talked about it for a while. Let's add the video aspect because it's just another avenue for people if they want to check it out and listen. So that's what we just said. We're going to throw it up on YouTube. Our podcasts and our YouTubes, they're pretty raw. I don't take a lot of content out because we're human and we're having fun with it. It doesn't need to be perfect.
Yep. So Rolling Throttle has got a good question. This is what your most memorable or impactful episode so far and why? So it's two questions in one.
All right, I'll start off with that, Jim. I got this one.
All right.
So I think we decided to take the Ride Life podcast on the road. So we traveled to a listener's house. We hung out in his garage all day. We ate pizza. We talked bikes. We rode bikes. We worked on bikes. And so this friend of ours has got a really nice garage, 4-car garage. And so doing that episode was awesome because we all got to hang out together. And then it actually gave me some inspiration to redo my garage. And so it was all around a good episode.
So Rhodey's kind of biased. He says your last episode.
So I was actually
because you had that.
Oh, I was going to say
because
the same
he's
episode.
a crane eater. Oh wow, that's awesome. So you guys, Weston Customs is here. He was my guest last week. It was awesome having him on. What is next for the Ride Life? I know, Brian, you said you're going down to Daytona in March, right?
Yep, I'll be there in March for sure. I can't wait for that.
Awesome. Well, I'm doing a moto meetup down at the Cackleberry on March 7th. I don't know if you ever been to the Cackleberry campground. Have you ever been there?
I have. I've been there. Oh yeah. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah, Big Mike and I, we camp out there in his RV, so
yeah,
it's a good time.
It's that Friday night, right? I'll show up there.
Oh, right on. Yep. Yep. I'll put out exactly where I'll be. It'll probably be to the right of the stage next to the bar because, the bears are there, the girls are there. I mean, why not?
Sounds good to me.
Here's another good question from Rolling Throttle. What unique challenges have you faced as podcast hosts, and how do you overcome them?
My biggest challenge, especially in the beginning, was the sound quality. For whatever reason, learning the software, getting comfortable with the software, it was like the way we were recording was different than how we do it now. The biggest challenge for me was just trying to get a clean product out, something that people could listen. I remember it was like our fourth or fifth episode. I thought we were kind of dialing it in, and then we went to listen to it the next day, and it was so bad. Brian was like, I can't even listen to this. It's so terrible. I got to turn it off. So I had to take the episode down, go back, re-edit it. And I think it's listed as like whatever episode re-released. Getting that sound quality down, like I spent a lot of time, Brian probably doesn't even know this, just recording myself and playing around with the editing to get it to be clear enough all the time, because that was my biggest challenge. And I would say second is just coming up with stuff that's just not boring for people. We want people to listen. We want people to interact too. Like, I don't care if you hate us, tell us you hate us, and we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about whether we agree with you or disagree with you. Or if you love us and you want us to talk about something or do something, we'll do that too. So the sound quality and getting people to engage, I think, are my personal two biggest challenges.
Yeah, right on. That guy wants to know, what's your favorite guest-free podcast?
Obviously, Roadie Riders. Come on. And yes, it's a free podcast.
Do you pay for any of the podcast medias that you air on?
Nope. It's all free.
Okay.
Right, Jim?
Awesome.
Yep.
Right on. Getting caught up here. So I got to ask you, in your logo, you got the letters and numbers with the X. What does that signify? I was always curious, and I want to know.
So it's just established 2024. Pretty simple. We actually have a new logo. It's pretty much, we got rid of that, sharpened it up a little bit, replaced the bike in the middle. But it's got the same spirit behind it. So just established in 2024.
Yeah, awesome. Right on. So I can't wait to see the new logo when it comes out. Actually, it's already out. I'm looking at it here on Brian's YouTube page. It's got, instead of the established and everything, it's got the checkered flags, and it's got a nice clean motorcycle as the centerpiece. I like it. That's awesome. You know?
Yep, that's
so
the new one.
Where do you want to see them? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the bike is my Dyna that's on the new logo, so that's how we got that one.
Okay. Yep. Gotta love the Dyna.
Definitely.
So here's another question from Rolling Fellow. You guys have a favorite rider or travel stories that embody the spirit of the ride life?
Favorite rider? Someone that we ride with, or
travel story that embodies the Ride Life podcast?
Well, I think it was 2 years ago. We rode from Daytona. We went to Daytona a week early. We rode to Key West. So me and my buddy
right.
Todd. Yep. So that trip to Key West was pretty much all motorcycles, talking about bikes. It was almost like a podcast, a rolling podcast, going down to Key West. And it was a new adventure for all of us, going over the 7 Mile bridge and just eating different foods. And that's what it's all about, meeting people along the way and putting down some miles on the bikes. And I remember we left out of there at like 3 a.m. to go back to Daytona. And it was just nobody on the road. It was just a really cool experience.
You rode the Florida Dragon, which is 318 miles with 11 turns.
Yep.
I mean, that's no other way to explain riding in Florida other than it's, straight with very few turns. Usually the turns are you're getting off the highway to go get gas or a stretch.
Definitely.
But on the plus side of it, you could really rip on those highways down there. I mean, Christ, 95 I-4, man, you could just, it's the Indy 500.
Yeah, it's not like up here. There's nobody out there. You just go as fast as you want. There's no streets.
Yeah, I'm sitting there. I'm riding down in Florida, and I'm going, holy cow! I'm just keeping up with traffic. At that home, I'll be in cuffs for the speeds I'm going, keeping up with traffic.
That I-4. We stayed in Orlando one year for Daytona, and we had to travel that I-4 every night, and that was not fun.
Yeah. I go to Orlando, down to Orlando Harley last year when they had the hangover performance show. My wife's got a lifelong friend that lives in Orlando, and I go down and visit her, pick her up, spend a day with her. So it's 7-1 goes Mad Max I-4. Yeah, basically. Let's see. Another question. Rolling Pro. He's on it tonight. What makes a great story for the podcast, and how do you bring it out of your guests?
You get guests on like roadie riders that just you ask him one question and then he talks for 2 hours straight and you don't have to do anything.
Diarrhea of the mouth.
I think that if the story is important to you or important to the guests, you remember the details, you remember how it made you feel in the time, and you try to like convey that to the audience. Like, you're never going to feel the excitement that I felt or how I felt when I did it, but it's important to like explain that to the people that are listening. And when you have a guest on like Rody, and he's just so passionate about things that it's easy with a guy like him, because he's so passionate about riding and bikes and what he does. It's easy to pull stuff out of him. When you have someone that's a little bit quieter, you gotta kind of almost be like a little bit of a therapist a little bit and kind of dig deep and kind of be like, well, what about this? And, ask them kind of these leading questions and help them like pull that out.
Kind of like, so tell me, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's a little psychotherapy. I'm a truck driver, so I'm not that good at it, but I used to be a funeral director. So.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you're a truck driver. Yeah. Brian, what do you do full time?
Nothing now. I'm kind of retired. I used to be a truck driver, so now I'm kind of bless you.
Full time
kind of like
YouTuber / podcaster.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you approach connecting with the audience that spans different skill levels and experiences in the motorcycle world? Wow, he's on it tonight with questions.
I don't know. I feel like I should have like a 100-watt heat lamp over my head right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, that's where really I got to get better. That's where I got to get better at rolling throttle.
I don't know if you watch his channel. He does a really good live. He does a live Sunday nights now, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's really good. It's engaging, and I enjoy it. One day, I hope to get as half as good at this that he is.
Well, that's how you got to go about it. If you approach people that are more experienced, you start learning from them, and you catch on to what they do. I listen to other podcasts and try to, see what they're doing, how they approach things, what kind of questions they're asking, and just how they interact with their guests. But I'm not great at approaching people to come on the show, so it's Jim and I a lot talking about stuff that we do. But I got to get better at just say, hey, come on the show and talk.
So
exactly.
we're pretty. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Tonight's all about you guys, not me.
We're pretty hardcore Harley guys, right? I mean, both of us are pretty Harley through and through, but we've both ridden other things. I've had sport bikes. I love Gold Wings. I think that we want motorcycles to be accessible to people, and I think Rody brought it up, last week on our show. If you're riding something with 2 wheels and you're passionate about it, that's what we care about the most. We want everybody to ride a Harley, but we realize that that's not for everyone. So I think we try to be easygoing about, everybody's out there riding, getting the same thing out of it, and so people might be at different skill levels. They might not be comfortable riding a Harley. They're still on that 400cc sport bike, but they aspire to buy a Dyna or a Street Glide or something. And, we want to give that off to people that we're motorcycle guys first, Harley guys, motorcycle guys.
So I was listening to, Sunday's live or podcast you did with Rhodey, and you were talking about Harley, and you talked about how the Pan America and the Sports Arrest, that's Harley's cream of the crop at the point right now, and it counts for 1/3 of all sales, which is amazing. But they're shipping all that's to Taiwan to be built because 90% of the sales of those motorcycles are overseas. So it's going to save Harley a ton of money producing them there than producing them here in the States and then shipping them over.
That makes sense. So,
while
we're on the topic of Harleys, Dr. Harley, so, Jack, our buddy Jack, gave you a call the other night when you're watching a movie because I had a problem with my Dyna, and I just want to let you know, let everybody know that the Dyna is fixed and it's running. So,
what was it? Was it the coil?
Nope. So I went as far as I could. I went as far as I could with my multimeter, testing everything, and the crank positioning sensor was the only thing I couldn't get a reading out of, and that's what it was.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think I mentioned that to you too, is to check that. You should get a reading off of that as well.
Yep, you did.
So yeah. And Rolling Throttle here is, what role do you think podcasts like yours play in building a sense of community within the motorcycle world?
I think, a role is, so we want to do like events inside of big events. So Americade, we want to kind of have a meetup with some listeners, some other podcasters, some other YouTubers, and just get together and just kind of, meeting more people is always a good thing for me.
Yeah. See, personally, I dislike Americade. I really do. It's just for the fact of, the way the LEMCs act. If I did half of what they did, I'd be in jail. I almost got run over by a couple of LEMCs trying to do donuts and burnouts in the street. And the local cops are just watching them and applauding them on. I'm like, are you kidding me? They almost took out 3 people, me being one of them, and you're not going to do anything about it?
Yeah,
but if I did it, I'd be in jail.
Yeah, I've never been to Americade, neither has Jim, so we were just kind of thinking that's a place we haven't been yet. We've done Laconia so many times, and Laconia is the Laconia. Yeah, well, it's the same way as you just said.
I've been there. Been going there since '86.
Yeah, so
I've been going to Laconia since '86, since I was licensed.
Yep.
I've just burnt out.
We're going to go to Americade really because we both want to ride the Adirondacks. I mean, we'll go and check it out, but we really want to ride the Adirondacks. And it's the same reason why we go to Laconia. We want to go ride the Kangamangas, and we want to go up through the White Mountains, and we want to do the ride. And I mean, we hit Laconia Harley-Davidson and go through like all the vendors and stuff, but really, I can't remember the last time I went downtown. We said this year we were going to go through downtown. We're like, we're going to ride through downtown. Maybe we'll stop and have a beer, but I didn't. I don't think you did. We just want to get out to New York and ride the Adirondacks, and Americade's a good excuse.
Yeah.
Last summer, not this past summer, but the summer before, so summer 2023, I went out, met with Rhodey and Corey. I had what's his name out of Shelton. He's got a small YouTube channel. He came up, met me at my house. We went up, met them. Then from there we went to Lake George and met up with Upstate Rider and Moto Noggin and Raise the Road and a few others. And then we went riding all through there, and it was awesome. It was really great to just go out there. Riding up there is awesome. I can't complain.
Awesome. Yeah, I love finding new roads like that. And so I just saw that my buddy Todd, Indiana Todd, came into the chat. He's the one that I went to Key West with, and he sets up all the vacations. He's the guy to see for Daytona. He sets it all up, and we have a good time every year with Todd.
Just don't let him
book your
Laconia hotel. Don't let him book your Laconia hotel.
That wasn't his fault.
Yeah. Well, now if I go to Laconia, I go up, I leave early in the morning, spend the day, come home. This past year, I went as far as the racetrack. and then we turned around, came home.
Yep. That's the way to do it.
I think if
Yep.
Brian didn't live up there, I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Doc, how was Ocean City Bike Week? How was that? I saw that you went there, and I've never been there either. So
That's the second time I went. I love it down there. It is a lot of fun. We went down and we got there on Thursday. Friday, we went down to Virginia Beach, had lunch at Chuckard's, met up with UCM Pigs on the way there, had lunch, came back, got back at 11 o'clock at night. We left at 9 in the morning. We came back 11 o'clock at night, had a lot of fun riding around. And then, the concerts and everything. So, hey, guys, I hate to do this to you, but I got to bounce out of here for a quick minute. So, talks amongst yourselves if you don't mind.
I'm gonna answer Rolling Throttle's question. What's the craziest or most unexpected thing that's happened to you while recording an episode? So it just happened a couple of weeks ago. Our second time recording video, my internet crashed. The whole house went down. Everything went down. Everybody was in a panic. They couldn't play their video games or nothing. And I rebooted the router. Brian went on talking by himself for like 8 or 9 minutes, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. I'm texting him, and we jumped back on and we recorded an ending. And for whatever reason, the next day when I went to edit it, that ending was just Brian talking to himself again, even though it looked like we were good to go. So we re-recorded an ending Monday night, and I kind of put a little funny thing in there with some elevator music and the little please stay tuned thing for 10 or 11 seconds. And we had fun with it because, I don't know, it was a little frustrating during the time, but we had fun. I'm glad we didn't have a guest that night.
Yeah. Or that time when you thought we ended the recording. So then we were talking, and it was still recording, but nobody could hear you. They could only hear me. So
we were talking about pancakes or something. I forget what you were talking about.
Yeah. Jeez, we lost our host here. Now I feel like again, I lost you, Jim. Now Dr. Harley's gone.
HT just brought that up. Yeah, when we couldn't find the end button. I hit the end button. It just didn't end for Brian. It ended for me. How can listeners or the broader motorcycle community support the mission of the Ride Life podcast? Honestly, the way you can support us, get out to our Instagrams, the Ride Life podcast, the Ride Life Brian, the Ride Life Jim, get on the YouTube, subscribe, like. We're not doing donations. We're not doing sponsors at this time. I'm not going to say we're not going to do sponsors, but that's not what we're here for. Engage with us. Send us questions. Tell us things you want us to talk about. We're gonna probably lay out after the new year, kind of lay out what we're looking forward to in 2025. And we want users to send us places like, hey, go to this place in New England, or go to this place when you're down in Daytona. Check it out. We want to talk about it. So if you want to support us, send us places you want us to go. Send us questions. Interact with us and like and subscribe to everything we got. There he is.
Yeah, he's back. Whew, good thing. I almost had to start talking there, Doctor. Whew.
So, sorry about that. My biggest apologies. So back to Ocean City. I have a great time. I mean, we rode down the way I like to go is I like going down the New Jersey Turnpike to Garden State Parkway and the Cape May. And then I take the ferry from Cape May to Lewis, Delaware. It's about the same amount of time as going around, but you're going through Baltimore. And you're going all the way down the Jersey Turnpike, which I hate. So
yeah, the Jersey Turnpike.
It's a nice ride. You had the adventure of the ferry, but you got to make your reservations in advance for the ferry because they fill up quick. And you go into Lewis, Delaware, and you're about an hour and 15 minutes outside of Ocean City. And it's a really nice ride. And I went down with Big Mike, and he hates boats, and he had a couple of his friends with him, and we had a great time. We leave early in the morning. We miss all the traffic going to New York City. Go right over GWB, no problem, because we leave Connecticut at 4:30 in the morning, and we stop, have breakfast in historic Cape May, New Jersey. Good breakfast, not a lot of money, and it's a lot of fun. And we hung out with Zach and Megan from the Bent Red Padcast. Met up with Meg's motorcycle journey and Mike. I'm just hanging out with the people and everybody and building the bonds and relationships that you have. That's, to me, that what makes the event. The first year I went, the concert we went to was Chevelle and Godsmack. I mean, come on.
Yep.
I mean, how can you argue with that? And this year there was a few other bands. They weren't as great, but still had a great time. And the riding down there, it's all beach riding. So if you like beach, that's great. If you've never ridden the Chesapeake Bay River Bridge Tunnel, I always recommend you do that. It's a lot of fun. It's very scenic. It's 27 miles long with 2 tunnels. And if you're lucky, when you're on that bridge, you might see a warship or a commercial ship going in and out of the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah,
so that's one of the nice things I like about that.
That's a cool bridge. That was one of the bridges I went over with my original Harley on our way to Virginia Beach. And how long, you might know, so how long ago was it when there was an actual restaurant in the middle?
Oh, God. I was stationed at Fort Eustis, and that was back in the late 80s when I saw that.
Okay.
Okay, the worst rally I ever visited was TMMR. It wasn't because of the
Really?
people I was hanging out with, it was because of the rally. Yes. $150 per person for a 4-day pass.
Huh. Yeah.
And the best part of that was the chopper show, because you got to see some unique choppers, and V-Twin Visionary with Jeff G. Hull. Doc from American Corps is with them all the time. It's a nonprofit veteran organization. So other than that, not much for vendors. And I'm a vendor whore. I love the vendors.
I hear you. I'm going to go back to one of Rolling Throttle's
How about
questions.
you guys? What's the worst rally you've ever been to? This one?
Yes.
If any guests on your pocket. Yep.
So
who would it be and why?
I was thinking I would like to have Lance Corey. I don't know if you know who he is. He runs Thrash and Supply. You probably know him. But he was a freestyle motocross racer, gold medal, X Games guy, and I just feel like I could talk. He's someone I could talk to if I was hanging out. We have a lot of things in common, and he runs a really nice big company now, and I love his parts, and I just think we'd have a lot of conversation to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, they make some great parts. I would love to have them. So even DDK says I won't be going to TMMR again. Yeah, I got to hang out with DDK at TMMR and also at Smoky Mountain Bike Week, which is a great rally because there's a lot of great riding. It's in Tennessee. You're close to the tail of the dragon. You're close to the back of the dragon. You're close to Devil's Triangle. You're close to the Cherahole Highway. All within a day's ride. Within the day, you could go there, ride it, and then come back within the same day. There's a lot of great riding around there. This year was the same weekend as the Fall Bike Week in Myrtle Beach. And I have a feeling because of the riding that's available around there, if it's advertised and organized correctly, because it's their second year of doing it, they will shut down Myrtle Beach because more people will go there than the Myrtle Beach.
Yep.
For me, the thing that makes the rally is the riding and the people you're hanging out with.
Wait a minute, Jim.
Really?
Let's get this right. You've been to one rally,
That's not true.
You can't really comment on this.
It's all about the people you're hanging out with, man, and the riding. That's for me. That's the appeal for me.
Yep.
I haven't been to Daytona. I haven't been to Sturgis. I haven't been to a lot of them. But it's about the people you're hanging out with. I wouldn't have any fun if I went to Laconia by myself. Like went with Brian. This year we had other people join us and stuff. And to me, that's the most fun. The people you're hanging out with and the ride.
Okay, so Shane comes all the way in from New Zealand, wants to know who is the worst guest you ever interviewed.
Now, I wish we had one, but we haven't had enough guests on to have a worst one. So they've all been pretty good. They've all been hand selected by me. So they've been awesome guests. But I'm sure once Jim gets involved and starts picking some guests, we might have some bad ones.
Nope.
Probably. I picked a bad co-host, so whatever. No, all our guests have been good. We haven't had a bad because all of our guests are from different walks of life. So everyone that's come on, it's just been interesting.
Yep. So Roland Falls says the best event in 2025 is Mob in the Mountains. I highly recommend going. I will be there. I was there last year for the first year, and some of we took this road. It's called the Talon. It made the Tail of the Dragon look like child's play.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to put that in my notes. I'd like to attend that because I like those small events where it's all about the riding and drinking beer after.
There's no vendors.
No vendors.
None whatsoever. It's all about hanging out, supporting the community, riding together, and go have a good time.
Yep. Yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you do any of the ones like the Deadbeat Retreat or the Catskill Mountain Thunder or any of those?
I did Catskill Mountain Thunder in 2023, and we went for the full thing, Thursday through Sunday.
Okay.
It's a very small rally. The accommodations, if you don't book right, you could get some mold poisoning. Literally, our first room we had, there were water stains on the ceiling, the walls, the floor. The mold smell came out and hit you like a ton of bricks. I talked to one of the owners. They put us up in a different room because they explained it to me. It's a step up from camping. I says, well, at least when I'm camping, I'm not ingesting mold, while I'm sleeping. So they moved us to a nice house, actually, which had a cancellation, luckily, and it was wonderful. You could do that event on a Saturday night, Sunday. They have some amazing bands that went. When we were there, we got to see Saliva, and Drowning Pool and Theory of a Dead Man. So, and while we're there, I got to meet and hang out with CJ, the guitarist of Drowning Pool, and we became friends. And he actually listens to the show once in a while, and he found out last year or earlier this year that I was going to Gettysburg, and he reaches out to me. He says, "Bro, you're going to be at Gettysburg?" I says, "Yeah." He goes, "Cool, so are we, but don't let anybody know yet because it's not announced, but we just booked Gettysburg for Bike Week." I'm like, "Awesome." He goes, "I'll put you and your wife on the VIP list to hang out with the bands." So I said, "Right on." Well, their tour manager booked them hard. I mean, on Friday they were in Pittsburgh, Saturday in Gettysburg, and Sunday they were playing again down in Charlotte, North Carolina. So the VIP party, the after party, got canceled because they had to get on the bus and head down to North Carolina. But we got to hang out with Saliva, and their tour manager looks at me and says, "Hey, I remember you from New York. How's it going?" And we're hanging out with Saliva. And, CJ says, "Man, I'm sorry. My tour manager got us all screwed up." I was like, "Yeah, I get it, man. You guys are out to make money. That's why you do this." But, I mean, if I didn't go there, I would not have met him. They have a live biker build-off at Catskill Mountain Thunder. So you can actually see the bikes get built. And in order to get judged, the builder has to ride the bike to the stage. So that's cool.
Yep. Yeah, well, you gotta get out in the public to meet other people, other cool people like you. we can meet people on the internet, but being
Oh,
out
I'm
in
partial
public,
for-
being out in the public, being out at the events, that's where we're gonna meet and greet and people and just
Yep.
yeah.
Like we're gonna get together for the moto meetup down in Daytona at the Cackleberry. It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah, well, we got to talk about that. When are you going to get there? We got to hang out before that.
We're leaving Connecticut on the 26th of February. We
Okay.
check in at the Cackleberry on the 28th.
All
So
right.
we're in line to check in like 6 a.m., if not earlier, to the campground to get parked, and then we get set up. But we stop the night before in like just south of St. Augustine at the rest stop to get some sleep. So we get some sleep there, and then we get up and we go. This way, once we get set up, we're ready to ride. We're ready to go. It's day one of the rally. Let's go spend some money. Let's go fuck shit up. Have a great time. And so we'll be there from the 28th to the 9th.
All right. Yeah, so I'm leaving on the 28th, that Friday morning. I'll be there on Saturday morning, March 1st, and I'm staying all week until Sunday morning. So we will definitely have to get together and do something before your Cackleberry meetup.
Oh yeah. During the week, Big Mike 135 and we're going to take a ride down to Tampa, and part of that ride is hit a bucket list, which is Alligator Alley. Everybody says it's straight and boring, but we want to see the gators.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Yep.
Rolling Throttle, I want to answer his questions. What some of the goals for the Ride Life podcast in coming years? So our goal is to, have some good guests on there, and maybe get a sponsorship, and it would be cool to actually see someone else wearing we're going to get some hoodies made up and some t-shirts made up. So it would be pretty cool to be out in the open and seeing someone wearing our shirt. That'd be kind of cool, I think.
Yep. Right on. He would be a great guest on your podcast. Rolling Throttle. He was an awesome dude. I consider him a brother. Great person to ride with, great person to know. He's got a great company, rollingthrottle.com. Sells a lot of aftermarket, only American-made products, which is amazing, like suspension technologies and squeaky speed and tap it right, tap it cuffs for the M8s. Just to name a few, he's got hundreds of products that he has on his website. It's amazing. The big plug for rollingthrottle.com for all your aftermarket needs. He also hosts the Mob in the Mountains. So he's always busy. Right now he's in South Dakota, and they'll be leaving South Dakota, I think, sometime around February, he said.
Awesome.
RV Biker says, find it hard to find a friend or someone to ride with most of the times I ride alone. Well, you know what, RV? So do I. And there are times I prefer it, because when you ride alone, if you're riding in a group and you're not leading, you see something on that ride and you're normally not there that you want to check out, you really can't, because you got to stay with the group.
Yep.
But if you're riding alone or with just one other person, you can say, hey, let's pull over, check this out. If they don't want to see it, then too bad.
Yep.
And vice versa.
RV bike, I used to hate riding alone, but now I kind of enjoy riding alone. I can go at my own pace, and if I see a road that I want to take, I can take a sharp right, quick right, ride like a dink, and just I don't have to worry about anybody not being able to follow me. So yeah, riding alone's fun.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about this in an episode. We talked about, like, if you're going to ride with a couple of people, it's really good to be like-minded, right? So you don't want to ride with the guy that doesn't want to stop to see the thing that you want to see. You don't want to ride to the guy that never eats and gets pissed off because you want to grab a burger. You don't want to ride with the guy that shows up and he never has gas and you're like an hour into a ride and he's like, I got to pull over for fuel. When you ride alone, you can do your own thing all the time. Stop when you want to stop, eat when you want to eat, fuel when you want to fuel. So it's great to ride alone or just ride with like a small group, a couple of people that you're like-minded and you ride the same way, and you just know, like we got good people that we ride with that we know they're going to show up and be like, hey, I just rode here 3 hours. I got to get fuel, or I just rode here 3 hours and I just fueled up. they're not going to be an hour into a ride and be like, oh man, I got to stop. And, everybody's ripping and ready to go,
Yeah, right on.
It looks like you're not going to see any alligators on Alligator Alley, Doctor.
That's what I'm reading. That's what I'm reading. So, that's something Big Mike and I will have to discuss. I mean, one of the reasons he wants to go to Tampa, he's a big cigar guy. And there's this place out in Tampa where they roll them right there in the street. And we already got it planned. We're going to fill his saddlebags and his tour pack and my saddlebags and cigars just for him. Me, I want to go to the Colombian restaurant. I don't know if you've ever been there in Tampa. The food is amazing. I love it. It's Colombian food. I walk out of there 100 pounds heavier. Going to a food coma. It's amazing. I love it there.
Yeah, so I've been going to Daytona for 15, 17 years in a row. I've never seen an alligator in Florida. But a couple years ago, I took a golf trip with a bunch of buddies to Myrtle Beach. And I was in a sand trap, and there was an alligator in the sand trap with me. So that's probably the only time I've ever seen an alligator.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
No kidding. And when I do my Route 66 ride, that's why I want to do it alone, because I'm going to be one of those guys, open up the door of the motel or hotel and say, yeah, tomorrow's another day. Or it might take me all day to go 5 miles because there's going to be, 1,000 things to see within that 5 miles that I'm going to want to stop and check out, because that's a once in a lifetime ride for me. And I probably won't be back out there ever again.
I felt that same way when I went out to Arizona Bike Week, me and Todd, and we would just, if we saw something interesting, we were going through New Mexico, we just got off the highway, checked it out, and said, hey, we're in no rush. We had no place to be. We made it to Arizona Bike Week, and that's probably a rally I'll never go to again, because it's not really a rally. And you got Cave Creek, which is pretty cool. It's small. It's smaller than Laconia, though, and it's just too far for a ride for what it was for me.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty part, Big Mike 135's got this amazing RV, and the best RV is a friend's RV.
It's like a
but I'm very fortunate that he brings me along with him. We're going out to Sturgis in 2026, and we're taking the RV. This past summer, the guy puts on some miles. He decided almost last minute that he was going out to Milwaukee for homecoming. So he went out to Milwaukee, hung out with Rolling Throttle, and she's Rolling Throttle, and they decided we're halfway here. Might as well just go all the way to Sturgis. So they rode out to Sturgis and spent the week out there, and then he and his actual brother rode back from Sturgis to Connecticut.
Awesome.
Guy puts down some miles. He's got a 2023 Road Glide with a 135, and he actually puts the miles down on the 135. He's got more miles on that than my 22. And I just turned 16,000 miles on my 22 Road Glide.
Wow. Yeah, he put some miles down. That's good to know.
Yep. Well, he's coming up with a lot of closing questions here. Where do you see the motorcycle community heading in the next 5 to 10 years? And what role do you want the ride life to play in that journey?
The motorcycle community heading in 5 to 10 years. I hope it continues. This past 3 or 4 years, I'd say the campgrounds, like the campouts, got really huge. So there was a lot of that going on, put on by different people. And I'm not a huge camper, so I never did that. But just like meetups. I love the early morning meetups and going for the ride for the day. There's nothing better to me than leaving my house at 6 a.m, going to a Sunoco gas station. There's nobody around, and I could just hear my buddies coming, hear their bikes coming, roll up, and then we just roll out, do some riding. And if I meet those people through the podcast, that's even better.
There you go. Now, Brian, you have an amazing FXR, right?
I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I think so too. I've seen it on your videos. Tell us about that FXR. They were the most unwanted bike when they were new.
Oh,
but once stunting became the in thing, now everybody wants them.
Yep. So I've had that bike. I've had that bike for probably 7-8 years now. And when I first got it, the previous owner tried to make it an FXRP. So he had floorboards, the RP bags on it. But after looking at the VIN, it really is an FXRS lowrider. So
Okay.
I put mid controls back on it. It didn't have the original paint job ever. So that paint job that's on it now I painted that myself. I did the pinstriping. I put the decal on it, the beam decal. And I've changed everything on that bike except for the motor and trans. And I think it's got an EV27 cam in it right now. And it runs
nice.
great. So I've never had to do anything to it motor wise. Just suspension, bars, exhaust, the normal stuff. But I've pretty much had that bike down to just the frame. I never had the engine out, but I've done a lot to that bike, it's been a lot of places with me. I love it.
Yeah, my lowrider S, Corey came down. First time I met Corey face to face, he came down to my house and we did the motor swap on my lowrider S. We pulled out the 114 and dropped it in my 135. My 131. But I did a lot of work to that crate motor before it went in because I can't keep it stock. I void warranties. I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
so,
the newest bike I have is a 2007 Road Glide, so I don't have any warranty bikes.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. And what do you currently ride, Jim?
I got a 14 Street Glide Special. I only got one bike. I don't have 5 like Brian, but I have goals. I should have maybe, I should have done what I'm doing now a long time ago, and I'd have been in a better spot than I am now. But that's all right. I got one. It's a 2014 Street Glide Special. I see our buddy Jack is asking what the next upgrade is. Brian's going to be maybe a little.
That was my next question.
Brian's going to be a little disappointed to hear this, but yeah, I'm putting exhaust on the bike. I'm going with Sawicki, putting a Sawicki exhaust on my bike. Brian wants me to get Passani.
You can order that order that right from Rolling Throttle.
Yep, for sure.
I ordered a Sawicki pipe through Rolling Throttle for a customer's bike, and there's a 99 Dyna.
Yeah, I just love the way they look, the way they sound, and I see a lot of Passani. I don't see a ton of Sawicki. Of course, as soon as I buy it, they'll be on every other bike, but that's just the way it works.
Honestly, Blockhead did a video where they swapped out Sawicki pipes on one bike. It was Goldzilla, actually. And they did Bassani, TBR, Thrashwood's pipe, and Sawicki. And it was a dyno shootout. And a Sawicki, even with the one with the catalytic converter, produced more horsepower and torque than all the others.
I just watched that video you made of when you installed the Sawicki pipe and
on the 99 Dyna.
Yeah, it looks good, sounded good, so the customer was happy. That's good.
Yeah, those exhaust flange nose bolts broke my stones. I literally spent 4 hours on one because whoever put that exhaust on last used the wrong hardware they got from a hardware store, so it was a lot of corrosion. I actually had to go out and buy a can of matte gas to heat it up to get it off. Had to fix a lot of threads and I was almost about ready to replace the studs, but I was able to save them.
Nice. I mean, I've worked on a lot of bikes. I've seen a lot of crazy things, but this past the 03 Dyna I have right now, when I went to change the handlebars out, they didn't depin them, and there was the inside of the headlight was full of wire nuts.
Oh, I've seen that. I've actually had a customer come in. He was having short issues with everything on his bike, and it was like a 2011 Street Glide. And while he was there, I popped the fairing cap off, and I looked at it, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "You have right here in this one wire. There's 6 wire crims.
Yeah.
You have wire nuts. You have wires just
Wire nuts.
Listen together with electrical tape that's falling off, and there's bare wires here, there's bare wires there, and not just on like the hand control wire, the main wiring harness.
Yep.
And he's like, okay, what do I need to do to fix it? I says, well, do you want to repair? Do you want to fix right?
Yeah, well, that's why when my Dyna lost spark, and I knew that the wire nuts, I fixed that all, but some of the other wiring still looks pretty sketchy. So when I lost spark, I was thinking the worst. I didn't know. I thought I didn't know what to do, but I was so happy when that fired up today.
It's crazy what people do too. It's like, why would you think that? Like wire nuts, like fucking wire nuts, like.
Because the person who probably did it was an electrician.
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, wire nuts belong in houses, not in vehicles.
No, they were like, hey, I just ran out of electrical tape, but I got these wire nuts. Will that work? Yeah, sure. Throw them in.
Listen, I don't use wire electrical tape. I use heat shrink. I solder every connection, and I use heat shrink.
Yep, same.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what I did with this.
Yep.
So slowly but surely, the Dyna wiring has become Brianized and a lot better.
There you go. There you go. So what are the next upgrades for you, Brian?
I don't know. I was like, so this is what I do. Every single Daytona, I like to redo a bike and kind of give myself a deadline. And it kind of makes waiting for Daytona, more suspenseful. Like, am I going to get the parts in time? I'm leaving Friday and the bike's going to get together. So, but this year, I mean, the FXR I've done everything to it. I can't really think of anything to do to it. So I really got nothing right now. I got nothing to do to my bikes. The Dyna is done. I just put the pipe on it. It's all set. So I wish I had something to do to it, Jack, but I don't.
Brian, I think you need a 2003 Night Train. Anniversary, Gunmetal Pearl. You got to make up for past mistakes.
Do
you know where there's one for sale?
Absolutely. Go on Marketplace. There's like 10 of them.
Okay.
Okay, here's a good question from Rolling Pro. What podcast or piece of content are you most proud of from 2024 and why?
Oh, jeez. I have to look at the archives for that one.
Episode number 1 for me. Just taking that leap and putting it out there. It's not the best episode. It's not probably the most entertaining episode. But for me, that's the piece that I'm most proud of because we took that leap. We said, let's do this, and we did it.
Yeah,
nice.
I think season 1, episode 22, the title is Brian Loves Burnouts. And if that doesn't describe me as a person, as a motorcycle rider, then I don't know. So I love burnouts, and we had a good podcast about it, and that's the one.
Nice. So RV Biker says once the campground is done, I'll be throwing a weekend event down in Taco Plains, Tennessee.
Talico Plains.
Talico. Okay. Yeah, we're looking forward to that, RV Biker. You got to keep us all into view.
Yes, I've never been to Tennessee, and I'd like to go. I've been to a lot of states, and Tennessee's not one of them.
No, the roads out there are great. They really are. Let's see. I never had a warranty on a bike. That's right on, Steve Tuner.
Yeah,
Steve's been a long-time subscriber of mine since like the beginning. Let's see. Brian and Jim are genuine guys. Any of you haven't met them, try and get together and they'll say hi. Brian will be in Daytona in March. Try and meet up. Exactly. That's what we're going to do. We're going to try and meet up, and we're going to meet up. There is no try.
Yeah.
And throw back some beers and try and harass some vendors. I think
for sure. You get to meet Todd too. Todd's a great guy. You and Todd will get along because he's got a street glide. He's got an old pan head. Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, no, it's a shovel. It's a 69 shovel, so it's got pan lower, but he's got.
It's a pan shovel.
Pan shovel. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yep. See, look, he's got your pipe in stock, Jim.
There we go.
I knew he would.
Come on, Jim. Saddle up.
I get
Look,
through Christmas, man.
look,
Can I buy my kids some gifts or what?
Listen, as a great man gave me some financial advice. Buy it now, make it next month's problem.
Yeah.
Well, I also have a good line too about that, Jim. So it's buy it nice or buy it twice, right? So
Yeah,
don't go out and buy some Amazon cheap exhaust that's going to fall apart. Go to rollandthrottle.com and get the Sawicki pipe. So I'll even help you install it in my garage.
It's definitely that's the plan for sure. I went back and forth for a long time. I was considering it, and I'm like, nah, I really want this. This is the one I want. So,
yep. Are you looking at the full length, mid length?
The mid.
Nice.
I want the mid.
Let's see.
It's a good choice.
I gotta step off for 1 minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. Get him out of here.
If Santa Claus rode a motorcycle, what model do you think? Yeah, there you go. Santa Claus rode a Actually, I think Santa Claus be riding a knucklehead, an EL knucklehead.
Oh, no, he can't start that thing up that many times per night. So he'd be riding a trike.
That's what he got L's for.
Yeah, true.
That's what you got L's for. He'd definitely be firing up an EL knucklehead. Oh, if I was Santa Claus, that's what I would have.
Yeah. Kickstart only. I like it.
Yep. What's your most frustrating moment working on your bike?
Oh, jeez. I don't.
Was it working on Jim's bike?
Possibly. No, probably working on my. I don't know. The dyno is pretty frustrating because no spark situation is kind of a
Yeah,
crap
because
shoot.
there's just too many variables. Is
Exactly.
It a coil? Is it the VOS? Is it the ignition? Is it a crank position sensor?
Yep. So.
Luckily, those crank position sensors are pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, I got one $99. They don't make them anymore, so I had to get aftermarket. But
listen,
yeah.
I have a 22 Road Glide. I had to find a brake line that I ordered for the rear. I ordered from the Harley dealership in September. It's still on back order. It's a 2022. I ended up finding a used one out of Texas.
Yeah, it's back order parts are crazy.
I don't understand Harley right now why they have so many parts on back order.
I don't either.
Especially for the newer vehicles. I can understand over 10 years old, but within the 10 years they should not have parts on back order. I mean, they're a company.
I mean, with my bikes being like the newest one being an 07, I got mostly older bikes. I can't even really go to the dealership to get parts because they don't carry them. So I go to the Harley Davidson website to get the part numbers, and then I'll go on somewhere and try to find a OEM part, but it usually doesn't come from the dealership.
Exactly.
So.
Oh, he takes offense to that. What's that, Fact Life? What will you take offense to? I apologize if I offended you. I don't mean to. Let's see. I'm starting a mission to use as many wire nuts on my bike. He's got a brand new 2024 Road Glide.
Hey, when I come to mobbing in the mountains, when I come to mobbing in the mountains, Rolling Thunder, I'm gonna take off your side cover, and if I don't see a wire nut, I'm going home.
That might be like a cool chopper idea, like just a wire nut, and it's just all wire nuts everywhere.
I'm actually in the process of building a chopper, all out of donations, and it's going to. I'm building my dream bike, and I'm giving it away to a veterans organization here in Connecticut that homes homeless veterans.
That's awesome.
Nice.
What are you starting off with? What do you got? A frame, or what do you got?
I have a frame. I have a Evo motor, a 5-speed trans. I bought a coffin tank for it. I purchased a Springer front end for it. Nice. The frame was donated by Moto Noggin. Big Mike 135 donated the motor. A lot of parts came from Deadbeat Customs and Lowbrow Customs. They stepped up and helped me out. Those are the only companies that did.
Awesome.
And another company called Sanity Jewelry. I'm sure you've seen them at Laconia. They're always there. past 2 years there down at the racetrack. Mark's a good friend of mine. He gave me a total of 18 knives. He sent me 12 last year, and we raffled them off here on the channel. We'll raise money to buy parts for the chopper. And then he gave me 6 in Daytona for my motor meetup. I gave away 3 and raffled off 3.
Awesome. I love hearing that stuff. That's awesome.
Yep. So with that money, we bought a 5-speed transmission, an open primary, a starter, a bunch of little parts. I still need to get a voltage regulator. The switches I bought at the swap meet. I'm not keeping those because they just don't fit the bike. They don't look right, so I'm not keeping those. I found something I want, but I got to pay for them. There's a lot of other things that I need to finish this bike. I almost have everything, but it's a lot of the little stuff that's keeping it from going forward. I had a seat guy had the roller for 7 months to make a seat and didn't do a damn thing with it. And as karma has its way, he's out of business now.
Ugh.
So I was lucky to get the roller back.
You have to do work to actually earn money. I don't know if people know that or not.
Yeah. So yeah, Brian, we'll have to take you to OF Performance during Bike Week. Rolling Throttle is a partner at OF Performance. It's a performance shop. It's not open to the public. It's by appointment only, but we can get you in there. Introduce you to Doug. Doug is a stunt guy. He's sponsored as a stunt guy. Drew's partner in the OF Performance right there in Ormond Beach. It's a great shop. They did the tire on my Softail for me last year when I was down there. They're going to be tuning Big Mike's bike while we're there.
Well, let me know. I'm down for that for sure.
Yeah, we'll definitely go. They're right there next to was it Iron Horse Saloon right there on Route 1.
Oh, okay, yeah, right over Broken Spoke, right over there. Yeah. So Todd and I stay at the Wyndham, which is over by Main Street, but we're looking for stuff to do. The only thing we got so far doing is I'm on Monday going to do the Hangover show, and then later on Monday they got an FXR meetup. They call it the FXR Mixer, put on by East Coast FXR Jam.
So yeah, well, 701 Traveler, big supporter of the channel, great guy, dropped us a $10 super chat. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate that.
Chopper money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we had plans. Jim and I had plans. Jim was going to make the Ride Life Swapper, which was going to be a bike that we got from all the swap meets, and put it together for Jim because he needs a second bike.
Hey, why not?
I thought it would be a cool idea. I know you're probably not going to be able to, at this point, nail down 100% of the parts at a swap meet, but as much as we can, as much
Actually,
as
you can.
stuff.
Yeah.
At the swap meet in Daytona, it's right up it's when you're headed to the Cackleberry, it'll be on your left-hand side coming from Daytona International Speedway. You could build a whole bike that's there.
Yep. Yeah. What day are we going to that swap meet, Doctor? I'm down for that.
You tell me.
All right.
You're getting it on the 1st?
I'm getting there on the 1st. Yep, Saturday.
Let's go the 1st.
Right. I'm the only time. Well, I can't say the only time. My first time ever getting pulled over.
The 1st is a Saturday, right? Is the 1st a Saturday?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I will be at the Advan Black booth on the 1st. I'll be there with Alan and the rest of the Advan Black team. They sponsored me with the Softail. I had my Softail down there last year, and they sponsored me with a front wheel for my Road Glide this year. So I'm going to bring the Road Glide down and park it there for the day on Saturday, and show off the front wheel. And I have their hand guards. So
where are they going to be set up so I can find you?
They're going to be at Daytona International Speedway that I know of, because that's where they were last year.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll be dropping shorts and all that all during Bike Week. I'll put out my full schedule on my channel in the community tab where I'm going to be on what days before I head down.
Perfect. Sounds. I'll have to
I'm
check
very
that out.
easy to find.
No, I was saying my first time ever getting pulled over in Daytona was coming back from the Cabbage Patch. I got pulled over for not having a mirror.
Yeah. Yep.
Back in my
Yep.
chopper
Mel's going to
days.
be down in Daytona this year. She's flying down, spending time with Mary. Her birthday's March 4th. So I'm probably going to spend the 3rd and 4th with her, or 2nd and 3rd. I haven't figured that out yet. So my wife will be there.
Awesome.
Yep. That's her first time going to Daytona Bike Week. She's been to Bikeoverfest in Daytona with me in 2019. So
Please, Mel, we can't get Jack out of Texas. Come on.
Honestly,
he's
if I
been to
lived in
Tennessee.
Texas, I wouldn't leave either.
Why? I hate Texas. I tell you,
Texas.
when I got discharged from Fort Hood, when I got discharged out of the Army the first time, honorably discharged, I left active duty. I was at Fort Hood, which is literally the center of that godforsaken state. I didn't stop till I hit Six Flags Over Georgia because I wanted to get as far away from there as possible in one shot.
It's hot and it's big.
I don't mind the heat. It's, I mean, when I was there, I got divorced. I was involved in Waco. I missed breakfast, which was the morning of the largest mass murder in Killeen, Texas, at Luby's Cafeteria, and that was in 1989. So why would and then after that, when I was in the Connecticut Guard, every time I deployed, we went to Fort Hood, Texas. So, I mean, every time I go to Texas, I have all these issues of PTSD. Am I going overseas? Am I getting shot at? Am I going to be, tornado? I just don't want it.
Well, maybe it's not Texas. Maybe it's just the service time.
Well, I did 25 years, and that was enough.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Only 25?
We appreciate your service, Doc.
Nah.
Well, we do.
Hey, they paid me to play with helicopters.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, being an aviator and on flight status, no matter if I was stateside or in combat, I had to have 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep.
Okay.
So, I've flown all over the world in a helicopter. I've seen some places that everybody sees, but I saw it a different perspective. Take Mount Rushmore. Everybody goes and looks up and sees Mount Rushmore. I saw it 2,000 feet away at eye level with the presidents.
That's pretty awesome.
Exactly. I've flown the whole San Fernando Valley from Barstow, California, all the way up to Fort Lewis, Washington, which is Washington State. Went right by Mount St. Helens, and I remember when that erupted, I'd look down there. At that time, it was 2010. I said, well, not one house down there is over 30 years old. Yep. So
my kids always ask me, like, what did you want to do? I'm like, I really never knew what I wanted to do. But when I look back now, I wish I went to one of the Naval or Air Force academies. I always wanted to fly a jet.
So do I. I love flying. I mean, the worst days of my life in combat were flying, and it was also the best days. I mean, worse hell. I mean, for 3 days in Iraq in 2009, I had to fly around the New England Patriot cheerleaders. Okay, I'm not a Patriots fan, but I am an NFL cheerleader fan.
Right on. I'm with you.
I had to spend 3 days with these girls after being in country for 12 months, and all the other women I see look and smell as bad as I do. And then here are these girls coming off a plane that smell good and look good, and I'm watching their USO show. I mean, what worse hell?
That's horrible. It's horrible. That reminds me of the Dumb and Dumber movie when the bus full of Hawaiian Tropic girls come up and they ask him, they want to hang out with him, and they say, no, right down, go downtown. And they just keep going.
Like, dumbasses. hence the movie Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, great.
Kind of like the Ride Life podcast.
Hey.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. You guys are awesome.
Brian's actually both, by the way.
Get him in now, Jim.
I got to get you back for that shit earlier. I don't remember what it was.
There's always something.
Yeah,
There really is.
Man, Doc, how many days to Daytona? I'm itching over here. It's cold
I
and
haven't started
snowy.
counting yet. I have not started counting yet. I'm not going to start the countdown until after New Year's.
Oh, I have, and
By,
it's 10 weeks from this Friday, so 10 weeks.
by my not doing any math at all, it's got to be about 65 days.
Yeah, good math, Jim.
28, 31, and a handful of days. It's about 65.
Maybe someday you'll get there.
2026, I'll be there.
Okay.
We actually, I have a
2026, I'll
little.
be in Sturgis. And that's the only event I'm doing in 2026 because it takes a lot of time and money to go to Sturgis.
I'm doing Sturgis this year, 2025.
So Sturgis, it's really about the time because I don't want to go. I want to go to Sturgis way more than I want to go to Daytona. I don't know why. I just do. It's further out. It just seems more. I've been to Florida a million times, not to Daytona, but I've been to Orlando. I've been to Fort Lauderdale. But Sturgis feels like really the country, and I want to go. But that time to go, it's a trip, man. I mean, if we got 4 truck drivers in Brian's pickup with a trailer, we could get there just about in a day and a half for sure. What is it, 28 hours we said? 29 hours?
Well, why we got to take my pickup truck?
I rode.
Because I have a fucking Subaru.
I want to say hello to Jack real quick, 420 out of Australia.
Ooh,
Tuning in tonight. I rode to Sturgis in 2010 on my Softail with a Badlander seat and 18-inch bars. I can tell you that was a bad idea. I rode all the way out there, and I was so sore and beat up from that ride. I didn't do any riding when I was out there. And, yeah.
Yeah, no.
That was my first and last time in Sturgis.
Like I said, when I bought a stock 2003 night train, a Badlander seat with backpacks bungee corded to the back of it, going to Virginia Beach. And by the time I got to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, the entrance to that tunnel, my ass was like non-existent. I couldn't even sit down. It was the worst experience ever.
If you were going to Sturgis, why were you going over the Chesapeake?
No, we were just going to Virginia Beach.
Oh, okay, Virginia Beach.
No, I've only been to Sturgis once, and I was not on my motorcycle. I was in a truck. So.
Okay.
Yep. But you did, Brian, when you did that Virginia Beach trip, you pretty much beat it down there. Like you pretty much headed out and headed there. Like, did you stop? Did you sleep the night before? You made it in a day, didn't you?
Yeah, we stopped at Mike's Famous Harley Davidson, right in Delaware, which is not there anymore.
Nope.
And we ate. They had a big cafe inside. We had lunch there, and we took off, and it started downpouring. We were absolutely drenched on the New Jersey Turnpike, and I think we got to Virginia Beach like midnight that night. It was horrible. It was the worst. It was not a fun experience, but the ride home was much better. I rode home from Virginia Beach all the way to Massachusetts in a t-shirt, and it was a very enjoyable ride.
There you go. Until you hit the GWB. It's taking 3 hours to go 5 miles.
That's
Isn't
before
there a Mike's Famous in Connecticut?
Yes.
Oh, really?
It was the same owner.
Okay.
Yep. Was the same owner. He sold that one. That was in Newcastle, Delaware. I actually went there. I actually have some T-shirts from Mike's Famous in Newcastle, Delaware. I almost bought a bike from them in 2010. But we just couldn't come to terms on a number.
Nice.
So I walked out.
Okay. Sometimes you got to do it.
Yep. I was down there for helicopter training. We were transitioning from a Delta model Chinook to a Fox model, which was the latest and greatest. Glass cockpits, the whole 900 yards. So we had to go through a transitional training with Boeing, and we were at their flight line support facility in New Jersey. Okay. How do I host an RV hauling? I would drive from Florida to Sturgis in 2.5 days.
Nice.
Yeah, so I don't know what the mileage are from Florida. From here, it's 1,800 miles. I think if we were driving and I was alone, I'd get there in 2 days, roughly. But with me and you and one other truck driver, we'd make it in 28 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'm a truck driver. Jim's a truck driver. So no log books, no nothing. We're gone. So we can make it.
Well, if you're a good truck driver, you have 2 sets of logbooks. One to turn over when you get pulled over or at the inspection station, and then the real one.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I drove a rental car. I picked a rental car up in Providence, picked a kid up in Worcester, and it was me and him, and we drove from Worcester from 1 o'clock, and we made it to Des Moines by 5 a.m. So Des Moines is 1,100 miles. So I'm pretty sure, like, if I had 2 truck drivers with me, it'd be 28 hours. It'd be maybe 29 because we'd have to stop to pee or whatever and eat. But
yeah. But
when I went out there, it took me 3 days to get to Sturgis on that Softail.
That's different though.
By the end of the second day, when I stopped for gas, I didn't even want to get off the bike because I knew if I got off, I wasn't getting back on. My back and my legs, everything was just so sore. My tailbone, I bruised my kidneys. I was pissing blood for 3 days in Sturgis. It was horrible.
And then you get there and you don't want to do anything.
I didn't. I stayed at the Buffalo Chip. Well, at least I booked a great place to stay because you got all the concerts I didn't pay for. I just listened to them all because you can't not listen. You got all the bars and food there. So, I mean, I had a great time, but still, I didn't do any of the riding that I wanted to out there.
Yeah.
This time
I feel like from here, if you want to ride to Sturgis and you really want to do it right and not be miserable, you need 3 weeks. So you need like a week to get out there, a week there, and a week to get back.
Yep. This way in the RV, we're going to go 3 days out there in the RV, spend a week there, and 3 days back. So it's 2 full weeks. Plus, you're going to need, I figured I'm budgeting about 10 to 15 grand because we're going to cover half the gas in the RV. We're going to have grocery expenses and then eating out expenses and gas expenses for the bike, and away we go.
Yeah, that's why I really do not mind trailering to Daytona and then just doing all the riding down there. Not much good Florida riding, but still.
Here's my thing. When people say, oh, you trailered, you're not, I'm like, yeah. Did you go? No. Then you shut up. You got nothing to say. Yeah. Did you ever ride to there? No. Well, I have. Yeah. In 2010, I rode to Daytona. I did the big 3. I did Daytona, Laconia, and Sturgis, all in the same year.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Listen, Brian's got pictures of the bikes on a trailer encrusted in ice and snow.
Yeah.
You gonna ride your bike in that?
Actually, I did. When I went to Daytona, I couldn't wait to get into Virginia to warm up, leaving Connecticut. And when I hit North Carolina, I had nothing but sleet and freezing rain all the way through North and South Carolina. And 2010 was the coldest recorded Daytona Bike Week. It never hit 50 degrees.
I remember that. It was brutal.
Yeah, it was the coldest recorded bike week. And the ride down was miserable because of the sleet, the freezing rain, the rain in Georgia, the coldness of Florida. It was miserable. Yeah. But I was there.
Exactly. You're there with your buddies. I can remember leaving out of here, having it be 20 degrees, and I'd make it all the way to Georgia, and it would be 31 degrees. And I'm like, why? I just drove 15 hours to gain 7 degrees. But once you get into Florida, it's like a different world.
Didn't you get whacked last year because you guys were going to stay over in Savannah and do some riding, and it was like awful? It was like cold and rainy and nasty.
Yep. Yeah. We booked this place in Savannah. We thought we were going to ride, but it was like 48 degrees and raining. So we just packed up and headed to Daytona.
Yeah. That's why I love going down in the RV. I mean, because it could be cold and rainy. I don't care. I got heat, air conditioning. If I get thirsty, I got the fridge. If I need a bathroom, it's right there. If I get hungry, I could make a sandwich or grab some snacks or whatever. It's all right there. You're in the house for the week.
That's all part of the event, though, too. Like that trip, you're taking Brian goes down. Brian and his buddy Edwin have been going for however many years now, and it's an event. And you're jumping in the RV, like that's an event. That's part of the trip.
Yep. Hey, Chris. But I mean that's all part of it. And, we stay at the Cackleberry, so Mike is clean and sober, so he doesn't drink. But I go down and listen to the concerts. I'll tie one on, but my bike's already parked for the night at the RV or in the trailer. So, I walk down, go to the concerts to the little area. I tie one on and I stumble back to the RV and I pass out, get up the next morning. This year, I got up one morning and Tweedledee's outside talking to Mike, and I tied one on real heavy with Professional Monkey. And I opened up the door and I was like, oh man, the smell of coffee was making me nauseous. I says, I'll see you guys in a couple hours. I closed the door and went back to sleep. But that's okay, because a couple hours later it was 10 o'clock in the morning. So I really didn't miss much. But I woke up like a whole new man. Let's go. I had my coffee and away we go.
Yep. No, that's exactly why Todd and I stay within walking distance from Main Street. So we can ride all day, go to Main Street, go to Froggy's, tie one on, and just walk back to the hotel. We always grab pizza because we're always hungry at 2 a.m. Sometime Todd doesn't make it. He falls asleep in an alley. That was one time, but for the most part, we usually make it back to the room.
Yeah, I tend to stay away from Main Street because it's nothing but problems.
Oh, it's a lot of problems.
A lot of drunken idiots. A lot of people think they're better riders than they are. And
hey, wait, Todd's listening, so don't talk about him like that.
and Rody?
Yeah.
Just for that?
Sports to S to Daytona. Come on.
Just for that, Rody? You just need to turn your man card in. You know better than that.
Well, he's a Marine Corps veteran, so we'll let him slide.
Ooh,
we all make our mistakes in life. His was joining the Marine Corps.
Oh.
He likes being yelled at.
Well, you know why the Navy started the Marine Corps, right?
No.
They needed a men's department. And dance partners. But that's 2,500 miles from Florida to Jersey. Yeah, right on.
That's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
3 days.
Huh. Here's the wife right in who writes the cock line.
Yeah, I've seen it live and in person.
Actually, Mel, you could just leave out the glide.
Yeah. He was a department of the Navy. At least the Army would always have been since 1776 their own department.
That's true.
I can't even talk about that situation. So,
oh, hey, all the branches could agree that the worst branch used to be the Coast Guard. Now it's the Space Force.
Space Force.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's actually kind of funny to think that that's actually a branch.
It actually is now. To be
know.
honest with you,
So-
it's an actual
so-
branch.
I kind of I've had a lot of friends that were veterans, and they kind of have, you guys all have your own sense of humor and you all kind of rag on stuff, and the Coast Guard, and I get it, but those Coast Guard swimmers are no joke.
Oh, no, they're not. The pararescue guys, those guys are insane. Nothing but respect for them. Just like I rag on the Navy, but I never count Navy SEALs as being the Navy because those guys are just badass.
What was the movie where the guy says, we love the Navy. Every time there's a war, they give us a ride?
Oh, that was with Demi Moore was the JAG officer, so was Tom Cruise.
You give him one line, Jim, and expect him to know a movie? Jeez.
That's like the biggest line in the movie.
Yeah, it is. That and you can't handle the truth. A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, A Few Good Men.
Yep. That was a great one. There you go. See, Jack's got it.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, hey, guys, we're coming up on an hour, 45 minutes. Yeah, it went by fast tonight. Usually I keep these about an hour and a half at the longest, 2 hours at the very, very most. But before we go, I want to give each of you your final statement, your final say. I wish you guys a ton of luck with the Ride Life podcast. I enjoy it. I listen to it. I watch them when you post them up on YouTube. I prefer that to see talking heads than just listening to a radio. Personally, that's just me. Yeah. But I do listen to it when it's not on your YouTube channel. And when I go to your YouTube channel, I do like every time I listen, to be honest with you.
We appreciate it.
And Drew just got back. Hey, Drew.
All the podcasts from now on will be on YouTube. So what happened?
I made you full screen.
Oh,
give us your final thoughts.
Oh, thanks. So every podcast from now on will be on YouTube, along with every other podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, Anchor. And so we just hope to keep growing and get some more. We're going to get more guests for you next year. We're going to have one more episode this Sunday, and then we're going to call it for season 1, and we're going to come back strong with season 2. And that's it. I'm trying to read comments as I'm talking here. This is not
I hear you.
But Steve Turner will get you the link to the podcast YouTube channel.
Yep. If you want to drop it in the private chat, I can put it up for you real quick.
All right.
So now, Jim, let's get your final thoughts.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us on. This was a blast, and we're looking forward. We're looking forward to having you come on our pod.
I would love to.
You can watch us on Spotify and YouTube, by the way. I don't think Apple Music does the video. 2025 is going to be an exciting year for the Ride Life. We're going to be hitting a lot of events. We're kind of laid out a tentative schedule. We're really looking forward to getting together with people and riding and having a good time. Send us messages, send us comments, hate us, love us, whatever. We don't care. We want to talk about it. But yeah, 2025. We're really excited. We're going to do a wrap-up show this weekend. Next week, it'll be kind of like the year in review, I think. And then we're going to come back strong in January. And I'm finally, Brian, just for you know, I'm finally going to let you talk about Daytona. And that's all I got.
There you go. All right, guys. I'm going to drop you in the green room real quick. Don't go anywhere. We're going to wrap things up off the air. So just hang tight real quick. I'm going to give my final thoughts, and I'll be right with you. So hang tight. All right, guys. That's the Ride Life podcast. Brian and Jim with some great guests. They put out some amazing content. I really enjoy listening to the show and watching their show. Thank you for everybody coming on. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. There will not be a live next week on Christmas Day. I'm going to be spending with my mom. Sorry, but mom takes a priority. Sorry, everybody, but that's the way it is. All right. Thank you for coming by tonight. A big shout out to 701 Traveler dropping $10 in the super chat. Gave us the 1 out of 5 super chats for goals I set for myself tonight. I really appreciate him and all his support. If you guys haven't had a chance, check out his channel. He does some good stuff out there as well. All right, that's it. Until the next time, I want you to live the best life you can. Ride often and always ride hard.